All right, guys, welcome to episode number 52 of the Conquer Me podcast. I'm excited to be back after about 3 weeks of no episodes due to an issue I was having with my soundboard that has now been corrected. I have a brand new one. It's way too sophisticated for my liking, to be honest, but I do have the very basic settings set where I can turn it on and I can get rolling. And today we're going to talk about the power of a growth mindset and the dangers of having a fixed mindset. I did a talk recently for an organization. It's about 150 people, different kind of job titles and different things. And we talked about a growth versus a fixed mindset. Now, and although I know many of us may think we kind of understand this, I want to really drill down into this and let you know there's some complexities of this and there's some different levels to this that we can consider, and we should be moving towards a growth mindset. So I want to talk to you about what that means and kind of how we can move in the direction of more of a growth mindset and why that's important and some characteristics of each of these. And then also to understand how we even got here in the first place, right? So guys, first, it's very important to understand that no matter what level you are in life or what you have going on in your life, you have a certain degree of a fixed or a growth mindset in each area, right? You have a certain level of fixed or growth mindset in your relationships, in your finances, and your physical and mental abilities, in your career, in every area, right? You have a certain degree of either a fixed or a growth mindset. And so the goal should be always moving in the direction of more of a growth mindset. And so I want to talk to you about the difference between these, kind of how we got here, and then what we can do specifically to be moving in the direction of a growth mindset. So when you think about your past, right, and I talk about my past a lot, which was riddled with drug addiction and a lot of chaos and not a whole lot of structure or like affirming of positive things. It was just a kind of a chaotic upbringing. For you, it may be very similar or maybe much different. But when you think about this, you know, in my case, I come from a family that was on welfare. I come from the idea that money was very scarce and that, you know, money doesn't grow on trees. It's very scarce. It's only reserved for certain types of people. And that ain't us. You know, we're the people who rely on the government to take care of us, and we are kind of entitled to have them pay our medical bills and pay our food and bring us things and provide free this or that or the other because money's so scarce and we just don't have enough, and so someone else has to do that for us, right? So that's kind of my upbringing. And when I adopt those habits, it causes me to act in a certain way. It's a very fixed mindset. And so let's think about where these thoughts and these belief systems even come from, the ones that we have right now today. When you're born and you come out of the womb, you are surrounded by people. Maybe it's your parents, maybe it's whoever's there to take care of you, and they instantly install belief systems onto you. They come to you and they go, all right, little Johnny, your belief system about politics is this. We vote this way. Your belief systems about money is this. Money is this way. This is how it operates. This is how the world works when it pertains to money. When it comes to health, this is what we believe about health, right? And you're given a name, an identity, you're given a race, and you're given all these belief systems right out of the womb that you're supposed to take and use to navigate the world successfully. Well, the problem is if those belief systems aren't in line with what's going to serve you in your life, or maybe they're wrong altogether, guess what? You take those belief systems, you operate that way, and you get a certain outcome. So if my family, and I love my family very much, but the reality is they were getting an outcome of being busted, broke, overweight, obese, sick, on multiple medications, no money, like all the things, unhappy, addicted to drugs. If I take their belief systems and I try to install that to create what I want, which is a productive, fulfilled life that is challenging yet fulfilling and filled with peace and good relationships and not being addicted to different substances, well then how do I expect to take those belief systems and get that outcome? It just doesn't work, right? It doesn't math. It doesn't jive. It doesn't make sense. I've got to adopt different belief systems. So when I think back of my childhood, and kind of my mindset, it was very fixed. I thought that, hey, it just is what it is. I'm genetically predisposed to being overweight. Everybody in my family's overweight, so I guess that's what it's going to be. I'm genetically predisposed to being addicted. So I guess because everybody in my family's addicted, that just is what it is. A fixed mindset believes that your skills and your abilities and the things in your life are just fixed. It's just the hand that you were dealt. You've just got to take that and do something with it. Do the best you can with it, right? That's a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset, we avoid challenges. We see challenges as just that, a challenge and not an opportunity, and we avoid anything that's hard. We tend to give up really, really, really easily, right? When things come up, a fixed mindset goes, oh, this is too hard, and we retreat. We're regularly overwhelmed. Okay, I want you to think about these guys and be auditing yourself. As I'm talking about a fixed mindset, does this fit you in any area? We're regularly overwhelmed. We ignore valuable feedback. Okay, someone comes to us and they say, hey, Jay, listen, man, I love you. I know that your heart is to be a certain way, and I know that your heart is good and your intentions are good, but here's how you're showing up. If I go, oh, well, yeah, but it's so-and-so's fault, and it's only because of this, and I wouldn't be this way if that wasn't that way, and I start making excuses, guess what? I have a fixed mindset in that area. I'm not able to receive constructive feedback, which means I'm missing an opportunity to learn and grow, even if it's coming from someone who doesn't quite know how to package it very well. There's been many times where mentors in my life or people have approached me and they say, hey, Jay, just want to tell you, man, you're being a real jackass. I'm like, whoa, hold up. Well, what does that look like? I'm immediately offended by that, right? I have an ego. You're challenging my ego. But as you develop more of a growth mindset, you go, okay, well, hey, I'm sorry you feel that way. Tell me more about that. Maybe there's some truth to this. And even if you can't accept feedback, here's a tip. And I've learned this because I do this myself, because coming from a place of victim mentality, very much fixed mindset, entitlement, feeling sorry for myself because of my past is very hard. Having always to be on the defensive, it was very hard for me for years to take feedback, and it still can be. But what I do is, even if it's challenging, I go, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, this is probably not true. This doesn't make sense to me. It's not resonate with me. I don't get it. But what if it is? What if it was? How would that cause me to show up in life with my family and my peers and in my business and so on and so forth? And then I just consider that. If this were true, if someone were behaving as this person is telling me I'm behaving, this would be the result of that. And if that kind of scares me, I go, wait a minute, I better take a really good look at this. Okay, so that's one, is we regularly avoid constructive criticism or feedback. We feel threatened by other people's success is another one, right? If you're in a corporate job, you know this goes on a lot. Sally gets a raise, and you're like, oh, Sally, congratulations for your raise. And in the back of your mind, or maybe even to your coworkers, you're going, oh, she don't really deserve that anyway. And it's just unfair. And I'm just being, and it's a threat. It's like if anyone comes along and they start to do well, it immediately feels like a threat. So you're constantly in competition with everyone around you, not in collaboration. It's a very scarcity fixed mindset. We make excuses for everything, right? This is a big one. You all know the person, and it might be you. I know it's certainly been me many times in my life, that you just make excuses about everything. No matter what, it's not your fault. You blame. It's poor me. The world, the sky's falling. Everything's falling apart. Nothing ever works out. I would have done it better if this person would have done this, or if that person would have done that. We just make excuses. The deadline was too short, the project was too hard. Even if the expectations were set clearly and we accepted those expectations, then we don't meet them, then all of a sudden we have a bunch of excuses for why we didn't, right? It's a very fixed mindset. We have a negative, this is probably the biggest one that drives me nuts, and it's the one that I'm trying to work on daily, consistently, is we have a negative attitude and we gossip often. There's a quote that says, great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events, current events. They're the ones that are always watching the news, or they're excited about the every football game is like the highlight of their life or whatever. And again, nothing wrong with football, but that would be an average mindset of just someone that's all they obsess over. Great minds talk about ideas. Average minds talk about events. But small minds talk about people. They gossip, right? They talk about what other people aren't doing right, or what they're doing wrong, or whatever the case is, instead of discussing ideas and bigger things and the future and dreams. Great minds don't have time to talk about other people or to worry about what other people are saying about them. because they're too busy talking about ideas and talking about the future and talking about learning and growing and building and doing great things, right? So just keep that in mind, guys. Now, let's talk about the characteristics of a growth mindset, though. When you have a growth mindset, you believe that your abilities can change. You can learn. You can grow. You can adapt. You can get better. A growth mindset is going to embrace challenges with enthusiasm. They see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow and develop mastery, right? When something comes their way, they go, hey, man, this is going to suck. This is going to be really hard. But you know what? I'm going to become better in the process of this. And the next time something comes up, it won't be as much of a challenge. I'm going to master some area of my life. We're persistent in the face of a setback. If you have a growth mindset and you have a little setback, you don't let it just knock you down for too long. You get right back up and you go, oh man, that was rough, but now I'm back at it, right? You're persistent in the face of setbacks. We see effort as a path to mastery, and we get excited about the process that we're in, not the outcome. Okay, we understand, and with a growth mindset, when we have a growth mindset, we understand that the prize is in the process, right? The joy is found in the journey, not in the outcome. If you've ever set a goal before and you're like, man, if I just reach this goal, and you go out and you fight tooth and nail and you put your heart and soul into this thing, and then you get there, and it's amazing for about 30 seconds, right? Maybe a day. And then you're like, well, that's it? Like that, now what? Right? It's the process, though, that you're going through that causes you to become a different person. That's the prize, right? That's the reward. It's not the outcome. And a person with a growth mindset, they get excited about changing their identity, about changing the type of person that they are and the skills that they have to pursue some form of outcome. We learn from feedback and criticism. So imagine that. What if someone came to you and they said, hey, I have an opportunity for you to get better. Take it or leave it. Well, I don't know. It depends. Well, it depends on what? Depends on your ability to receive feedback. Okay, so if you can tolerate and handle someone saying, hey, there's an opportunity for you to be better at something, well, then you have the chance to grow, and that is a growth mindset. We're inspired by other people's successes. Man, you know what? I hope they make it. I hope they get promoted. I hope their business does well. I hope they grow. There's enough for everybody here, right? And also, when someone is very competitive towards someone else, it usually means that they know they're not doing what they could be doing to reach their full potential. And so they're worried that this person is going to do what they need to do to reach theirs. And so it kind of sheds a light on, like, if I have a scarcity mindset about a coworker getting a promotion, it's probably because I know I'm not doing what I could be doing. I'm not doing all that I could be doing for me to get a promotion, right? So just consider that. We see the good in others and we lift them up. Hey, these people could be really, really a pain in the behind, but we find something good to see in that person and to build them up for. Okay, and here's the biggest piece, guys. A growth mindset, we believe that life happens for us and not to us. Everything that happens for us. In every adversity, there's a seed of equal or greater benefit. For every adversity, there's a seed of equal or greater benefit. That is a growth mindset. No matter what happens, we go, man, you know what? I don't understand this, but I know that it's happening for me. It's not happening to me. Okay, so this is powerful stuff, guys. This is mindset. This is the nitty-gritty of mindset. And if you can get this stuff, if you can get this and really master this and become self-aware of where you are in each of these areas, whether it's a fixed or a growth mindset, and you can begin to identify areas in your life where your mindset is fixed, and you can be aware about it and start to work on it, it will totally, radically change your life and your outcomes. Everything in your life will get better. If you identify areas where your mindset is fixed and you begin to approach it with more of a growth mindset, everything in your life will be better. I promise you. Okay? So, how do we develop a growth mindset? This is really important, right? Like, what does that even mean? What does that look like? Well, first thing is we need to question everything. You need to understand, guys, that the belief systems that you have about a certain thing might not be right. So there's a story that I tell, and it's about this little girl, and it's Thanksgiving, and she's at her house for Thanksgiving, and her mom is pulling out the ham, And the little girl looks at the ham and she goes, Mom, why'd you cut the ends off of the ham? And her mom goes, oh, honey, it helps soak up the juice, and it's just, we've always done that. Your mom does that, and your mom taught me how to cook. Or not your mom, but your grandmother. Your grandmother does that, and she taught me how to cook. Maybe you should call her. So the little girl calls her grandmother, hey, Grandma, Mom told me that you taught her how to cook, and she cuts the ends off the ham because you cut the ends off the ham because it helps soak up the juice. Is that right? And her grandmother goes, oh, yeah, sweetie, I think that's right. You know, it really does something to soak in the juice when you cut the ends of the ham off. But your great-grandmother taught me how to cook, so maybe you should call her. The little girl calls her great-granny. Hey, great-granny, I'm calling because Mom and Grandma said that you taught them how to cook and that you always cut the ends of the ham off and that it helps soak up the juices in the ham. And she laughed and she said, oh, sweetie, no. Back then, I just didn't have a pan big enough to fit the ham in, so I had to shave the ends off. Now, guys, can you see that this has been passed down for generation to generation? It really makes no sense. You're just wasting part of the ham. So some of your belief systems that you have right now have been passed down from generations to generations and are not serving you. But yet we're still deploying them into our life thinking that it's going to give us the outcome that we want. And it's not. Right? A Ferrari is awesome, but don't go try to climb a mountain with it. It's not designed for that. Right? Like, we've got to have the right tools or the right mechanisms or the right mindsets to apply to our life to get a certain outcome. Okay, so I want you guys to think about that. We need to, if we're going to develop a growth mindset, if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, it's like The Matrix. We've got to question everything. Is what I was told about money correct? Is what I've been told about health correct? Is what I've been told about relationships and how I should approach certain areas of my relationships, is it correct? Guys, what you've got to understand is you've been lied to. You've been lied to. We've all been lied to by well-meaning people, parents, teachers, family members, who have certain belief systems that were passed down to them for generations, that they just assume are correct because they've always done it that way. And they're installing those mindsets into us, and then we're taking those same exact ideas and we're trying to implement them, and we're finding out that they're leading to a dead end. Okay, so this was big, man. Like when I came off the drugs and I started doing some personal development and I started trying to learn, I started figuring out that the mindset or the ideas that I was given as a kid and throughout my early childhood life were not getting me where I wanted to go. I looked at my life and I said, okay, I've done everything I've witnessed my mom do and my family do. And here I am in jail with 3 felony drug charges, facing juvenile life, can't go anywhere. My life is a wreck. My health is a wreck. My relationships are broken. But I've just done what I've been taught to do, which is fend for myself, kind of do the thing that feels good all the time. And it just didn't get me anywhere. So it's really important to understand, guys, that we have been lied to. We've been lied to about our health. If you go look at the food pyramid and you can't figure out by now that we've been lied to, that thing is backwards. We know scientifically, without a doubt, 100% facts, that living and eating as the food pyramid tells us to eat is causing a massive influx of obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and frankly, death. But yet we're still eating a primarily carb heavy diet, right? We're eating grains and corn and carbs and stuff that we know we should not be eating, right? The food pyramid should be turned upside down. But yet the authority of health, and I say that very loosely and facetiously, the authority of health is telling us that we should be eating this primarily carb heavy diet. We've been lied to. So if we take that information that we've been given and we apply that, then we follow that, and guess what? We're going to end up obese, sick, type 2 diabetes, and an early death. Poor quality of life, no self-confidence, no energy, reproductive issues, all these types of things, gut health issues, right? So let's get back into developing a growth mindset. We've got to question every single thing. We've got to acknowledge and take ownership for our shortcomings. When I woke up that day and I was in this juvenile detention center and I was 16 at the time and had to be gone until I was 18 and no one could come save me, and I'd spent my entire life blaming everybody about how bad my life was and why things were the way they were, I said, hey, you know what? Maybe now, just maybe, these ideas that I were given about how to conduct my life are not serving me, and maybe I can start taking some ownership. And man, I tell you what, when I started taking ownership for my life, that's when it changed. And even today, the less I blame, the more I lean into the idea that everything's my fault. It all comes down, the buck stops with me. Then I'm in a powerful place to make changes. If it's my fault, then I can also fix it. So we question everything. We acknowledge and take ownership for our shortcomings. We should view opportunities or view challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. Right? I tell a story about the lion chaser, and I won't bore you with it, but the idea is we should chase after our challenges, although they seem like lions and they seem unable to be defeated. If we'll just suit up and show up and run toward that problem, it is a miracle what happens. Usually we find out that the lion also might just turn and run, right? We might find out that the lion is not as fierce as what we thought it was, and the problem's not nearly as big as what we made it out to be in our mind, and that happens 9 out of 10 times, I would say. We might find out that the resources show up right when we need them. We're running toward the lion barehanded, and right before we reach the lion and we collide, we trip and fall, and we look down and there's a gun right in front of us. We stand up and we shoot the lion, right? Like, you would be shocked that if you would just run toward the problem, even if you don't have all the answers, this is a growth mindset. I'm going to suit up and show up no matter what. And I'm just going to trust that I'm either going to learn from the experience through failure. And that's a big part, is we replace the word failing with learning in a growth mindset. Either I'm going to fail and learn, or I'm going to defeat this. One of the two, but no matter what, I'm going to suit up and show up with a good attitude and run toward this thing. Okay? We replace I have to with I get to. I'm in the gym a month or two back, and believe it or not, I own a gym, but I don't love to work out all the time. It's more and more, it's becoming more challenging. I'm just busy. I have a lot of things going on, just like everybody else. It's an excuse, right? And I don't always feel like it. Well, one day I'm pouting, not wanting to work out, and I'm in the gym and I'm putting my bag down and I'm going through all the things in my mind of why I should not work out. Man, I got work to do after this. I'm going to be all sweaty trying to work. I got to go into Walmart and I got these emails to do. And all of a sudden I look up and I see my friend walking in, and I say walking very loosely. She's hobbling in because she had a massive stroke at age 38, debilitating stroke, very little language, can hardly walk. She's gotten much better now, but she's still struggling, right? She's not herself. She can barely walk without assistance. So she's hobbling in, kind of dragging one leg. She opens the door and she smiles, and half her face is drooped down, of course, from the stroke. And she goes in there and she gets on the treadmill and she hits go, and she's like limping along trying to do something. She gets on the bike and she starts riding. And I'm like, what in the hell am I worried about? Like, I don't have to work out. I get to. I am physically capable and healthy, and I should be so grateful that I can do this. And I'm looking over, I'm like, do you know what Heather would do to come in here and be able to throw her bag down and just jump on a machine and start working out right now? She would give anything on earth to be able to do that. And here I am grumbling and carrying on. I had a very fixed mindset that day. So a growth mindset says, I don't have to, I get to. When you're going to work and you're facing a problem and it's hard, think about what you could be doing. You know, when I go to my business, any of my businesses, and I've got to approach a big problem or a hard conversation, I go, you know what? This sucks. This is uncomfortable. I'm going to learn and I'm going to grow through this, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I could be sitting in a cubicle again, making cold calls, doing something I absolutely hate. I could be out trying to sell print ads for commission only and struggling because I'm in the middle of a bankruptcy and I don't know what else to do. Right? I've been in much worse places than have to go in and have a tough conversation inside of a business that I love and brings me fulfillment. So on those days, I'm like, you know what? I don't have to, man. I freaking get to. That's a growth mindset. We stop seeking the approval of others. This is how we develop a growth mindset. I got something going on right now This is a great example. We've had some staff changes in my gym. It's nothing bad. Like, there's a season for everything. And we had a staff member go, and this person was a long-term staff member and loved this person very much and wished them the absolute best. But you know what? It just kind of came to the end. It was time for them to move on. Their life changed. My life changed. Expectations are there. And if it's just not jiving, it's just not jiving. It doesn't have to be a bad, dramatic thing. But of course, everyone with a fixed mindset they thrive on drama, right? Remember the gossip thing? Remember that I talked about? And I have this guy running around talking all types of mess. And so I approached him and said, hey man, listen, appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. I've had several people come to me and mention your name about, gossip, and none of it's true. I just want to tell you, like, nothing that's been spread is true at this point. I haven't heard the true story yet about what happened. And so, I just appreciate it if you didn't do that. And of course, I get a big long message back on Facebook about, oh, I've heard all kind of people say all kind of things about you, Jay, and I just ignore it because I don't. And it just confirms what I already thought. This person is highly engaged in gossip. They thrive on negativity. Everyone wants to see a person fail who is striving to do more, right? When you decide that you want to level up in your job, or you want to level up in your life, or you want to level up in your business, or whatever, in your health, and you start to make different decisions, the spotlight goes on you, and people secretly want to see you fail if they have a fixed mindset. Remember, that's one of the attributes of a fixed mindset. They get really threatened by competition. And if everybody's performing at their level, or doing what they're doing, or has their belief systems and their, habits and whatever else that they might not be super proud of, but if everyone else is doing it, well, then it makes them feel better. And so when I got this message, I just kind of laughed, and I just sent the quote back. I'm like, hey man, here's where I'm at on this is great minds, we're thinking about ideas, right? We're not thinking about people. I don't really care what people say about me at this point, because I understand. And don't get that wrong. People that I respect, I do care. If it's someone that I admire and I respect, and I know that they have my best interest at heart, then I will listen to that. If it's someone like this guy who's known for spreading gossip, who's known for talking trash, who's known for being very negative and just starting trouble, I'm not losing sleep over that, and you shouldn't either. Just understand, the more you try to do with your life positively, the more you're going to have trolls come out and people start to come out to talk trash and tear you down. It's just part of the process. There's a quote that says, if you don't want to do anything great, then just don't do anything at all. If you don't want to be talked about, then just don't do anything at all. If you don't want to make anybody mad, then just don't take any action. Don't improve your life. Stay right where you're at, and everybody will be happy. Okay, so if you're surrounded by people with a fixed mindset, you can expect to get that. But if you have a growth mindset, you just don't put too much weight into what people say that you don't admire and respect. And if they don't have the fruit on the tree and they don't have the life that you want, it's really just a waste of really, really valuable energy. Okay, so we value the process over the result. We talked about that, right? A fixed mindset is all about the outcome. We want the outcome tomorrow. A growth mindset says, no, I want the outcome, but I want to earn it. I want to go through the process and learn the skills and change the mindset and adopt the new habits that will earn me the right to be proud of this accomplishment. It's about the process. And a growth mindset is you'll find that we read, we listen, we adopt new ideas. Again, if I take what my mom knows about money and I try to apply that to my life, I'm going to get the same outcome. So in order for me to learn new things outside of what I was given at birth and what was given to me in school, well, then I need to start seeking out new ideas. And the best way to do that today is through podcasts. You're listening to this right now. Hopefully I'm giving you some new perspective. It's through YouTube. It's through books. It's through other forms of media. You can follow even things that were considered a massive distraction like TikTok. If the algorithm is right and you're watching the right things, you can really get some valuable content from there. Okay, so when you think about a growth versus a fixed mindset, guys, take an inventory. Where do you land? How do you feel about this? And then let's start working in the right direction. Because if you don't do this, what's going to happen is you're going to forfeit your purpose. Okay, you're going to forfeit your purpose. And there's a quote that said the richest place on earth is a cemetery, because that's where unrealized potential and dreams and goals lie dormant. Because people in that cemetery had a fixed mindset, and they were worried about what other people were going to say, and they were worried about all these other things, and they had a fixed mindset, so they never really tapped into growth, and they never tapped into that thing inside of them that they had. I believe you were created on purpose with a purpose, and God planted seeds of greatness inside of you, but you got to water the seeds. You got to get out on your own way. You got to learn when you're born, and the information that you're given when you're born usually doesn't align with those seeds, right, of greatness. And so you've got to learn new habits, new skills, new ideas that act as water for those seeds. By getting around better people, by having different proximity in the people that you hang out with, by reading and listening and growing and having a growth mindset, you're watering those seeds, and they sprout, and they're unique to you, and only you can do it. But most people aren't willing to go through the change of what it takes to go from a fixed to a growth mindset. So those seeds of greatness are buried with their bodies, with their physical bodies. So guys, it's hard no matter what. Having a fixed mindset is really hard because you're gonna struggle. You're gonna have a lot of lack. You're gonna have a lot of sickness. You're gonna have a lot of negativity in your life. Having a growth mindset is hard because you're going to have people talk about you. You're going to have to change your belief systems. You're going to have to do things that are inconvenient and seem hard at first. Develop new habits. It's hard. It's all hard. One leads to death and destruction. One leads to fulfillment, happiness, and growth. You pick. Choose your hard, right? Whichever one you want is available. They're both there. They're both on the table. It's up to us to decide where we want to go. I am choosing to strive to have a but a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Okay, a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Growth mindset leads to happiness and fulfillment. Fixed mindset leads to death and destruction. And I believe that. So guys, this podcast run a little longer. I've got more I want to go in on this. I love this topic of mindset. It is where I'm kind of planting my flag in the ground, and I'm pursuing in my own life. And it's the area that I love to teach, and I get really just jazzed up about it. But I'm at about the 30-minute mark or so I want to keep it here. So guys, I'm going to leave you with this. No matter where you're at in life, we have an opportunity to improve. No matter how positive of a person we might feel like, we've got an opportunity to adopt more of a growth mindset in some area. So next time someone tries to give you feedback, are you approaching it with a fixed or a growth mindset? Next time a challenge comes up in your life, are you approaching it with a growth or a fixed mindset? Next time you are facing something that you might otherwise retreat, when this thing comes up, I want you to go, wait a minute, can I face this? Can I hit this head on like a lion chaser? Can I go straight towards this problem instead of retreating? And everything I went through, guys, I just want you to think about each of those areas. Right? When someone gets a promotion, do I get excited for them or do I get competitive? And this is how we can start to become aware and then audit and then adjust. So awareness, audit, adjust. Aware, audit, adjust. Those are the 3 A's that we can apply when it comes to moving closer to a growth mindset and further from a fixed mindset. Guys, thanks so much for listening to episode number 52 of the Conquer Me podcast. If you got value from this, I hope that you'll leave me a 5-star review and share the podcast with other people. And I look forward to catching you guys on the next episode. Peace.